I'm never going to get tired of that. The first pick in the NFL draft this year, Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears. No surprise here. Now let me pose a huge question to the room. Has C.J. Stroud changed the way we will perceive rookie quarterback success? Because we just watched massive, massive success. And the presumption is, with the amount of money spent and the acquisitions made, the Bears are supposed to be better. So knowing the Bears are supposed to be better, knowing we thought the Texans were going to be trash, and C.J. went in and had the year he had, are there unrealistic expectations out of the gate?
I don't know if there are unrealistic expectations, but I will say this, that they've set him up to succeed in Chicago, right? Like you mentioned, this is not a earned number one pick. The Carolina Panthers earned this pick, but it goes to Chicago. And even beyond that, like that was a defense that played pretty well to end the season last year. They traded for Montez Sweat. They immediately got better on defense because of that. Matt Eberflus seemed to finally kind of get that unit to click. And then on offense this past year, they add DeAndre Swift. They trade for Keenan Allen. I mean, Keenan Allen is a quarterback-friendly receiver. He is going to be open. He's going to be a reliable target for Caleb Williams. And they already had DJ Moore, who's a verified number one X receiver. So I think those two guys work off each other incredibly well. So whatever the expectations are, I think he is set up to meet those expectations, and now it's just on him to deliver and prove he can play in structure. I'll definitely say that whatever the structure of Chicago's offense is going to be, was going to be a lot better than what USC was last year. That was a mess.
You say that's a mess, but like we sit here and talk about Lincoln Riley, Gorney, like he's a golden god, right? Like everyone's like, oh, Lincoln Riley's got to end up in the NFL as a head coach. And then we're questioning the offense. I mean, it is fair to ask some questions about that, right?
Sure. And, you know, all the NFL teams go to Lincoln Riley to learn offense and kind of get an idea of how he runs things. And so, yes, absolutely. I will say that I reached out to some people today to kind of get their take on Caleb. And I basically couched it like this. Give me your opinion of him. You know him better than I do. I don't want to be talking out of, you know, something about him that I'm wrong.
Exactly what? Talking out of what? I mean,
and no one got back to me about it, which is interesting. Maybe they just want him to have his night and it's not all about Caleb. But that's an interesting thing you pose about C.J. Stroud, because the first pick was Bryce Young, and he was set up to fail. I mean, he was slaughtered.
I got to stand up for my guy. He went into a real.
He was slaughtered last year, and now the talk is, oh, should we move on from him? You know, and so they're set with Caleb. Unless there's changes at coach and GM, they're set with Caleb Williams. To dump Justin Fields for this, they're in for the long haul.
That is worth noting, though. I mean, Matt Eberflus did a pretty good job to close last season, but early on that year, he was kind of on the ropes. And that has been, I think, the curse of the Chicago Bears quarterback, is that they have never been able to have the GM, the head coach, and the quarterback all on the same timeline. So that's the real risk to me, is that like halfway through this year, if things aren't going so well, like is Eberflus on the hot seat, then he's learning a new offense in year two. That's where it starts to spiral.
If you go back, and this always sticks in my mind, I remember when Jameis was taken number one overall by Tampa, right? And Dirk Cutter was the OC there. And there started to be a little bit of struggles, and they thought maybe they were going to lose Dirk to another team. So they fired Lovey to keep the OC, because they thought this is the synergy. You know, we need to keep this guy here. They literally made the move to keep Jameis paired with someone, and ultimately it did not end up working. That's the one thing about the Bears as a destination that I think you worry about a little bit. And I think with all three of the top three picks, when you have defensive head coaches, and I don't have anything against defensive head coaches. Look at DeMeco Ryans in Houston. I live in Houston. There's going to be a conversation that happens when Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator there, gets a head coaching job. If they repeat their success offensively from 2023 and 2024, Bobby Slowick is not going to be there in 2025. And you start to look at Brian Daboll and the Buffalo Bills. And so going to Chicago, even if Eberflus continues to win football games, he's going to be successful. Caleb is going to be successful, predicated on the system, the coordinator, someone who's calling the plays. That's going to matter, and I worry if there's some kind of uneven results.
I'm going to give everybody I think this is pretty surprising information. Again, if you're in the Yahoo Sports app and you're using an iPhone, you can go out and assign an emoji to every pick. You can now do that with Caleb. We've done that. For example, I can see that I gave it a fire emoji. C-Rob gave it a fire emoji.
That's a low percentage.
Jory gave it a fire emoji. Bears fans have given it 82% fire emoji, which I think is actually kind of low considering. But the overall audience right now, 60% fire, 18% and 22% cringe.
And I will give you, I think there's a reason for that. I think the Bears fans, you want to embrace, hey, you're excited, this is Christmas, new quarterback, all these things. We go back to the social media stuff. We go back to what people talk about with Caleb. I think there is a perception about him beyond just what it is in Chicago, where people look at Caleb and they're like, see, he's doing this or he's doing that, or it sounds like he's about him. There was a clip of it was like yesterday or the day before of the prospects arriving to Detroit, and they were all in like these white jumpsuits. Caleb was last, and he was in like his own like kind of street clothes. Yeah. And I instantly saw someone say, "See, there's Caleb again. He's got to be doing his own thing. Can't just be part of the group. He's got to be doing his own." And I thought, this is real. Like it's solidified in the mind of fans outside of maybe that sphere and maybe a little bit inside it, where they're already looking at him with such a critical eye. And I think that's reflected in something like this.
That's forgotten the second he, sheds some pressure,
Oh,
turns
absolutely.
and
Yeah,
fires
right.
the ball,
100%.
and
Yes, I
everybody
agree
in
with that.
Soldier Field loves him.
Yeah, absolutely.